Hey guys, and welcome to the next episode of Adventure Prone 4x4. So today we're going to be installing a new UHF into MORT's ute before he gets back. I've left this very late as a result. I'm having to do this at night. It's quite cold, so today I'm going to show you guys how to install a UHF. So first we've actually got to rip his existing unit out and his aerial off. It's seen better days, so I'll show you guys that in a second. But first we'll go through and have a rundown of what we've got to install. So, first up, I just want to say that this setup cost me $150. It cost more than $150. Well, it's cost me $150 so far. The aerial is an Air Pro aerial. I should probably move the camera back a little bit. It's nothing special. I've had two of their aerials before. They were the thicker fiberglass ones though. I picked those up from super cheap. I run Uniden myself. But this one was, I think, $70 down to $50, and so I jumped on that. I purchased that at Repco, so that's what I've got for the aerial. Now that comes with a larger whip for the top, and it actually comes with a little, like a rubber ducky kind of style piece, like I run on my nav. Now for the actual UHF unit, we've got an Oricom unit. So this is the Oricom UHF 030. It's what they call a compact UHF. So this was from super cheap. I got it. It was $220 down to $100, and that's a pretty good price. So I jumped on it, and that's what we've got here now. These come with a 5-year warranty, which is pretty impressive, really. If you get if Morgan gets 5 years out of this, I'll be pretty happy, especially for $100. So we'll jump in, we'll have a look at the contents of that box, and then we'll actually go have a look at his current setup as well, and I'll show you just why he needs to update his UHF setup, because it's not good. Now obviously for installation reasons, I've already gone through and had a look at what we've actually got in the box, but I'm going to show you guys exactly what's in the box. I've barely touched anything. Straight up, we've got the user guide, so you can throw that away. Kidding, don't throw that away. So first up in the box, you've got your wires. So this is the unit. Now obviously you've got your jack for your microphone, you've got your squelch, a couple of buttons down there, your screen, and you've got your volume knob as well. You've also got your channel buttons on the side here, up and down. On the back, you've got, that is your antenna your antenna jack. That's where your antenna plugs into. That there is the power, so there's a plug that connects into there that the wires attach into, like I said. There's also up the top here, the little black piece there, that's actually a speaker jack. So if you did want to put an external speaker in, if you're older or you're a little hard hearing, you can actually put an external speaker somewhere in your cabin, and that's just the 3.5mm jack. So that is the handpiece. That's just the piece that connects in. So you've got 3 immediate channel presets. You've obviously got your speaker button. Also in the wing, we've got a little packet of screws, washers, stuff like that for the mounting of the unit. We've also got the bracket for it as well. That is the UHF clip holder thing. That's what holds the UHF. Just drill that into the console, but Morgan's already got one in there, and we'll probably leave it where it is. And then in there we've got a bit of an instruction manual for the fitting of the DC cable. And we've also got that extra little piece that I was talking about, where the wires slip into, and we've got a spare fuse as well. And that's all that's in the box. So we will pop the bonnet, and I'll show you guys exactly why we need to replace this unit. Reason 1 why MORT needs a new antenna. I'd say that's a pretty good reason. This thing, and I watch this when I drive this ute around, this thing flops now it's not going to go back on. This thing just flops everywhere. And it is just asking to go flying off on the highway. So that's why Morgan needs a new aerial. That and because it's a crap aerial. Reason 2 why Morgan needs a UHF is because that thing, I'm pretty sure it's been around since Methuselah was a kid. Doesn't even work, which is, it's one thing to have an old UHF. It's another thing to have a UHF that actually works, that is old. This is a UHF that does not work, that is old. So we are going to put a new one in. Now the best thing about this is, because we are not reselling the aerial and we're not reselling the UHF, I can just cut the cables and rip it straight out. First, I'm just going to go ahead by removing all the zip ties that keep the UHF cable in. And then I'm just going to clip the cables and rip it straight out. Now this thing actually runs, and I probably should have pre-checked this, but it runs through a firewall in the passenger side, not the driver's side. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to access that, whether or not I just need to take out glove box compartment, I'm not sure, but we'll find out. So hiccup number 1. So I've located where the UHF cable runs through. I'm not very impressed because I have no idea how I'm going to get the new one through there and how that runs up to the dash, but I'll show you what's going on. The cable runs through a hole in the wall just up there. I don't know if you can see that or not. And it's actually coming through. We should get rid of this mat. It's actually coming through. I've taken some of the cables away. That's the cable there. So there's actually a tiny little hole up there that he's managed to wedge that through. And I reckon that's pure luck that he's got that through there. So, obstacle number 2. Excellent. So at the current moment I'm struggling to get the wires out, but I'll figure that out. You guys don't need to see that. Basically, to take this front off here and to get access to behind here, there are 2 screws, 1 and 2 just above the air conditioning unit, underneath that little overhang. So there's 2 screws, that's it. Then the rest is just using a butter knife or whatever you've got. Door trim remover might work. Even just a small flathead screwdriver just to pry those clips off. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Cool, so I've got that off. Like I said, it's just clips around here. I actually just put the knife in up there, pushed it out, and most of this frame except the bottom part came out. Then I just had to lift it out. Note, if you've got anything on here like that, I'll obviously have to take that off. That's common sense. But on the back side of this, you will have to remove the plug from your cigarette socket. So the cigarette socket plug on this model might be the same for all the others, is just 2 little pins, so it's just a case of pulling it off the cigarette socket, and that's it. So I could undo all this and completely remove this from the cabin, but I see no real need to do that. That clip is going to be more trouble than what it's worth. So I'm going to let that hang here. It's not putting too much stress on any of the wires. It's just chilling there. So as you can see, we now have access to everything. Now you can also see up here, they've actually, I'd say that's the UHF ground wire. So very good. And so they've obviously put a hole up the back of here, up the back of this little compartment, and run the cables down here. And that one there, that thick black one, that is our aerial cable. Now, I'm under the impression that this UHF is actually kind of just held in with like some double-sided tape on the bottom. So I'm just going to take a knife to that and cut that out real quick. Okay, so this is the current situation. I've taken the entire doubled-in unit out, or unit out. So basically what we've got here, power is going to draw from a splice in the power cable for the head unit. We're going to keep the ground, which was up here when we mounted in. All the cables are going to be kept within this little shelf, and the only cable that's going to be running in and out is this cable here. The UHF will turn off when Morgan turns the car off to avoid him draining his cranking battery by accidentally leaving it on. I think, unless you've got a dual battery, that is the setup to have. Okay, so I've done some modifications or mutilations to that front box that I had. So I've actually cut down here and up the sides to allow enough room up the back, because this box gets smaller towards the back, it wouldn't fit in. So I've actually cut it up the back. You can see there that it's actually sitting flush, so I can't actually push it back any further because of these little lips here. So actually, it's a perfect fit. I couldn't have gotten a better fit than that. It sits nice and flush with the rest of everything else, and that'll sit really nicely. So what I'm going to do, before I to permanently mount this in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get just a strip of double-sided tape and run it across here, because it won't actually go through, it won't actually move forward through that part there if it's got something just to act as a bumper. So that's what I'm going to do to keep that there. And that way it's easy to take in and out, but it's not going to go anywhere. Rough road, it's not going to go anywhere. It'll stay nice and still for us. So now that I've figured out how I'm going to mount it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the UHF. Sorry, I'm going to install the aerial onto the ball bar, because that only runs one way. So it's got to run, or I have to run it from the ball bar into the cabin. I can't run it from the cabin into the ball bar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run that in first, and that way I'll be able to connect it and then permanently mount the box. Otherwise I'm just creating issues for myself. So now instead of running this cable down here where you can see the zip tie marks and underneath the light, we are just going to run it actually straight from here through here underneath the radiator support bracket through there, and we're going to run it straight up the side. So that's going to keep it out of the way of everything. It means that we don't risk destroying the cable with zip ties like the last person did, and it means that we get minimum wear from the ball bar rubbing as well. Now I'm also a big believer in protecting your wires that you run in and around your engine bay. So I've got this corrugated split tubing, and I'm going to run that from the aerial just to the firewall. There's no need to put it through the firewall, we're just going to put it to the firewall. And that's going to protect it from heat, any sharp objects in the engine bay, and just general dirt, mud. All I've done is run the UHF aerial wire through. Now when you're actually running that cable through, it's a good idea just to tape up the end of it and poke that. So tape it up to a piece of wire, shove it down through the grommet and cover the end of it, because if that end does split off, that can cause trouble long term. It can actually damage the head of it. So if you tape it up, it at least gives it a little bit of protection so it's not going to get caught on something and scrape and drag and cut through the wire. Cool, and that's all done. So, not that one, idiot. That one, that's our cable, that's our new cable. And that has just run up the exact same spot that the other one has. So that's awesome. Now all we need to do is mount the actual UHF inside this. Please note as well, I did not do that dodgy handiwork. I did the clean stuff. That's me, that's not me. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm not even going to replace the splicing thing. I'm actually just going to cut the cable a little bit further down. And I'm just going to connect on the new power, the new power wire, and then I'm going to attach the ground to where we had the ground before, just on the metal section of this. Now we're just going to pop that into the box. Perfect, and the aerial is all connected. Cool, so I've gone through, cleaned up the wiring and put this unit back in. You can see in there, we've got our ground wire. That's everything done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this face back on, reconnect my 12 volt socket, and that should be everything done. Cool, so that's everything done. You can see that everything is hooked up, ready to go. Everything's back in, screws are back in place. Don't forget to put these screws back in when you're finished. So let's go plug in the battery terminals. Cool, so the car's electronic system is on. Obviously we've got some lights popping up, we've got that there. So that should turn on. So that there is a volume knob. That's also our power knob as well, so once you get it to a certain point, it turns back off. And let's give it a try. Can I get a radio check, thank you?
You're welcome, mate.
Awesome, very good. Morgan will be pleased. Guys, so that brings us to the end of the video. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. If you get really bored, you can follow my personal Snapchat account as well. I'll throw everything in the link below. If you guys want to get your hands on any of the gear that I installed today, I'll also leave a link. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the comments below, or feel free to private message me on Facebook or Instagram as well. And I will see you guys in the next video. Hopefully we will be doing a bit of work on my car, or hopefully we'll be putting MORT's snorkel on. But a bit of maintenance on my car wouldn't go astray at the moment. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video, and as always, thanks for watching.